Well, hello from Olde Mistick Village. The Mystic Seaport Museum sits on 19 acres of land. Inside the store was a photo booth, so you know we had to do that. This is Mystic Oyster, so this is from here.
Local.
Excellent. Hello and welcome to another episode of Mantar. Thank you all so much for coming back. If it's your first time, welcome to the show. And today, my friends, we are traveling to the beautiful New England seaport town of Mystic, Connecticut. This is a day trip that you can take if you live in many parts of the northeastern United States. And it is a great getaway for a weekend or a day off or anything like that. And I don't want to talk about it too much up front because I want to get to the footage. But really quick, before we begin, just your friendly reminder, if you like this content, go ahead and hit that little subscribe button. It is of no cost to you, but it is tremendously helpful to me. Also, leave a like, leave a comment, hit that little notification bell so you do not miss future Mantar videos. I know you don't want to miss future Mantar videos. I have a really fun 4-part video series for an international destination coming up on this channel. You do not want to miss that. So, without any further ado, here is my trip to Mystic, Connecticut. It's about a 2 to 2.5 hour drive outside of New York City where I live, so I was able to do it in a day, and I'm bringing all of you along. So come on with me on the latest episode of Mantar Global, starting right now. So, welcome my friends to the first stop on our journey, Olde Mistick Village. Now, Olde Mistick Village is so interesting because it's actually a sort of planned town which sits on what looks like it should be a mall parking lot directly adjacent to a main road, Greenmanville Avenue. Which is interesting because come to find out that the gentleman who bought the land in 1963, Mr. Martin Olson, had planned to build a mall on this strip of land. According to oldmystickvillage.com, he was advised against building a mall on the property because they didn't think that the local population could support it. So his twin son and daughter, Jerry and Joyce Olson, decided to build a 1720 style colonial village on the property instead. The village officially opened on September 11th, 1973 and has been going strong for the last 50 years. Well, hello from Olde Mistick Village. As you can see on the sign behind us, we are super excited. Welcome back to Kathleen Grace Fiori.
Hi, so happy to be here.
A veteran of the channel at this point. If you haven't seen our Montreal video, go ahead and check that out right up there. And yeah, so this is where we're starting our day. We're gonna go have lunch at a place called Toast and Tonic. And then we're gonna walk around and take a look before we go to, I guess, Main Mystic.
Yes. We're in Olde Mistick. We'll go to Main Mystic. It all sounds very cute.
Let's take a look. So we headed over to Toast and Tonic in the village of Olde Mistick. Shout out to Toast and Tonic. Thank you all so much for having us. The place was very cute, and right up at the front they had little cookies and pastries, which was adorable. But we went into the main dining room for the full menu. So I got myself the Lox Sammy, which was a sandwich with smoked salmon, scrambled eggs, tomatoes, mixed greens, and red onions on a brioche bun, and that was served with potatoes. Kathleen Grace went for the classic Benny, which was poached eggs, Canadian bacon, and hollandaise sauce on a toasted English muffin. She opted for a side salad. And we shared the lemon blueberry crepes, which were filled with lemon curd, granola, and fresh blueberries. Everything was delicious, very, very tasty. Shout out to our waitress, she was lovely. So if you're looking for a good breakfast or lunch spot in Olde Mistick, Connecticut, highly, highly recommend Toast and Tonic. So then we went ahead and did a little exploration of the village.
You might buy these candle holders or have your candles at home and nothing to put them in.
If you're a Harry Potter fan, the Cloak and Wand is a must. It is a fully Harry Potter themed store with a beverage counter with all kinds of Harry Potter themed drinks and all kinds of merchandise related to Harry Potter. So my Potterheads, check out the Cloak and Wand in Olde Mistick Village.
How versed are we on Harry Potter?
Moderately would be generous. we like the books. We like the movies.
Okay.
We probably don't know all the details, but I have to say this store is so fun. Like even for non-Harry Potter expert fans, there are journals and mugs and like accessories. I think anyone could enjoy.
And we were highly recommended to try Deviant Craft Coffee and Artisan Donuts. I had just enough coffee for the day, but I did go ahead and try a donut.
Matt, what are you trying right now?
This is a Samoa donut from, what's it called? Deviant
Deviant,
Donuts.
right behind us. Deviant Donuts.
Donuts and artisan coffee. I think it's like coconut or something. Let's find out. It's definitely coconut.
Okay.
So coconut with chocolate. Oh, it's very good.
Is there caramel too or no?
I think so.
Yum.
pretty sure.
They said they never take it off their menu. This is probably their best seller. Nice.
And Kathleen Grace and I both have Irish heritage, but she has significantly more than me. So we did have to try Irish Eyes, a gift shop full of totally Irish themed items. And there is an Alice in Wonderland themed tea house in Olde Mistick Village. We weren't really looking for tea, so we didn't go inside, but right next door, presumably owned by the same people, is Alice's little haunted bookshop. So we did have to check that out and see what that was all about. They kept on brand pretty well with the haunted bookshop theme. They pretty much blocked out all of the outside light and created this sort of creepy little ambiance. And as the name suggests, it is a bookshop, and they sell sort of scary, horror, haunted type themed books. All right, so once we were done checking out Olde Mistick Village, the next stop on our list was Mystic Seaport Museum. And I have actually been to the Mystic Seaport Museum, but I was 8 years old. It was the middle of winter, it was freezing, and I really don't remember anything about it. So this was like my first time, and it was so different than anything I expected. The Mystic Seaport Museum sits on 19 acres of land and is mostly outdoors, where they have recreated a 19th century style village with all kinds of different houses that replicate shops and different types of things that you would have found in a 19th century seaport town. One of the highlights of the museum is the Charles W. Morgan whaling ship, which is the last wooden whaling ship in the world. It was launched as a whaling ship in 1841 and sailed 37 voyages, mostly with durations of 3 years or more. And at the museum, you can go on the ship, you can check out the top deck, and you can also go below deck where you can see the captain's quarters and areas where they were converting whale blubber into oil. It was super, super cool.
The ceilings are a little low in here.
Can you imagine what this smells like with freshly cut whale in the summer heat with no AC?
It's a little warm down here, isn't it? They would set sail on these ships for 3 to 5 years.
3 to 5 years, sometimes never stop.
And she said they would sail as far as Tokyo,
Yeah.
as far as Japan, and they would
tell me
like.
to Shanghai.
Oh, and that they would basically like kidnap people from Asia for fun.
Because when they stopped at these places, which is why captains didn't want to stop, like in exotic places, so says our guide, men would jump ship because I think it's more than they bargained for.
Yeah, they
And
would
so-
be like on this tiny little thing for like 3 years.
So the captain would lose all these crew members. So then they call it Shanghaiing or something like that, where they would pay somebody to get other locals drunk, and then they would literally kidnap them, bring them to the ship, and when they woke up, they were a crew member on the ship.
Yes, and no escape. You're out at sea again.
3 to 5 years. That's your contract.
some
I didn't even know it.
And then after exploring the Charles W. Morgan, we just walked the expansive grounds.
So like every house on this like outdoor part of the grounds is like every single house is a museum. It's basically like a historic village of like what it would have looked like back then. It's like the coolest thing ever.
And as an added benefit, which most museums don't have, almost every house had a Seaport Museum staff member there who could explain to us the significance of what the house was and what would have been done in the house.
So I'm in like an anti-alcohol propaganda house. All this stuff like the crusade against alcohol. Anybody who knows me and knows I don't drink, I was like, I love this. Yeah, do all the propaganda against alcohol. That's great for me.
They had a little historical grocery store. Awesome, but a little upsetting when you take a look at this price list. And this house actually baked a currant pie on a wooden hearth the way it would have been baked in 1832. We learned about how currants went out of fashion because they were banned in 1911 because the plants carried a fungus that was harmful to pine trees. Obviously, the federal ban on currants has been lifted. It was actually lifted in 1966, but they never really went back into fashion. Now, when I say they're recreating a 19th century style town, I mean that in a lot of senses of the word. For example, none of these houses had any air conditioning in them. It was a very hot day. But luckily, the entirety of the grounds of the Seaport Museum are located right on the banks of the Mystic River. So if you get overheated going into some of those hot houses, there's plenty of space to sit right on the riverbank and enjoy a little breeze off the water. Now, one thing that I really wish I had known about the museum before we went was that there are two ways to get out on the water. One is by borrowing a rowboat, a sailboat, or a pedal boat and going out on the Mystic River yourselves for 1 hour. If you choose to take this option, it is actually included with your admission ticket, so there is no extra charge. We would have loved to have known about that. And the other is a captain cruise. They have a ship called the Sabino that does a 30-minute upriver cruise, and we did actually find where the Sabino leaves from, but unfortunately all the cruises for the day were done when we got there, so we weren't even able to do that. But for your reference, if you want to do that when you visit Mystic, the 30-minute upriver cruises start at 10:30 a.m. There is also a 90-minute downriver cruise that leaves at 2:30 p.m. The upriver cruises are an additional $8 charge, and the downriver cruise is $35, but that's reduced to $28 if you have a museum admission.
So we're just wrapping up at the Mystic Seaport Museum. What did we think?
This place is amazing. It's basically a living museum recreating a fishing town. Everybody is so knowledgeable.
So knowledgeable. So like every little house in here has a staff member that's like more than willing to talk to you about like what the meaning of the house is and what went on there and things that would have happened during the time period. They're so informative. This is like a really, really cool, like interactive museum.
I don't know what to ask even. Like I want to know more, but I don't know what I don't know yet.
Yeah.
You know, everyone's so knowledgeable.
Yeah, this is a must stop. This is a must stop in Mystic.
And give yourself a couple of hours because I thought it was going to be sort of like a contained museum, like one of the big buildings behind us, and it's a beautiful, you can sit along the water, that's beautiful, like I don't know the acreage of it, but there's like plenty to spend your time going through here.
So then our last stop of the day was downtown Mystic, which is your picturesque Main Street America with very cute shops lining the street and a pretty view of the drawbridge that goes over the Mystic River. One of our favorite shops that we found was called Just Mystic, and yes, it is your typical tourist shop with Mystic branded clothing, which of course I bought a t-shirt, but also inside the store was a photo booth, so you know we had to do that. And while we were having fun in Just Mystic, we had failed to notice that it started to pour. Big shout out to Just Mystic for letting us hang out in the store for a few minutes while we waited the rain out. Thank you very much, guys. If you're in Mystic and you want some apparel or a water bottle or any kind of tourist thing that says Mystic, Just Mystic is your store. So after our slight delay waiting out the rainstorm, it was dinner time, and we had reservations at S&P Oyster. Shout out to S&P Oyster. Thank you all so very much for having us. It was a delight. If you like seafood, do not miss S&P Oyster when you go to Mystic. You will need to make a reservation. They are very crowded, and it is recommended that you make your reservation about 10 to 14 days in advance. We both decided to indulge ourselves a little bit with a raspberry basil lemonade. Excellent. I am a huge oyster fan. I love oysters. So we started with some appetizers. I, of course, got 10 oysters. So this is Mystic Oyster. So this is from here.
Local variety. Is it very fresh? It looks delicious.
Mystic for the oysters. And also couldn't pass up the opportunity for the tuna tartare. Delicious. So what did we have for our appetizers?
We really did it up. We started with prosciutto wrapped scallops, which were so great, and it had fried arugula with these tiny petite cannellini beans. It was so good. And then this empty bowl was halibut ceviche, which is the best I've ever had. It was red onion, red pepper, almost a tiny bit creamy but not creamy, like perfectly fresh and citrusy. It was outstanding.
And Kathleen Grace and I both decided for our main course to indulge in the pan-seared sea scallop pasta, which had shallots, wild mushrooms, cherry tomatoes, and a creamy lemon tarragon sauce.
I said, as a not huge pasta lover myself, this is outstanding. It's bright, which helps break up the cream, I suppose, but it's like the perfect balance of tart and creamy and like citrus.
Overall, 10 out of 10. It is a great restaurant. Shout out to Jeremy, our waiter. He was fantastic, really took care of us. Everyone was so nice there. We had a blast. We did forego having dessert at S&P Oyster Company because you cannot go to Mystic without heading over to Mystic Drawbridge Ice Cream, which is located right at the end of the drawbridge and serves the most delicious homemade ice cream. And we went ahead and decided to enjoy our ice cream on the bank of the Mystic River, right with the view of the drawbridge. I had the Mystic Mud flavor, which is one of their creations, and it's basically chocolate, and more chocolate. And Kathleen Grace opted for a scoop of strawberry and a scoop of Kahlua. And with that, our day in Mystic was over, and it was time to head back to New York City. So what is my review of Mystic, Connecticut? Well, it is definitely a destination that I recommend if you live in the Northeast within driving distance. It was just a wonderful day out, right by the water, and for a small town, a lot to do. Between Olde Mistick, the museum, and downtown Mystic, it's a full day, which is a nice variety of options to have when you go sort of more suburban and not to a major city. So overall, what did the day cost us? Well, the general admission ticket to the Mystic Seaport Museum was $31, which is honestly a pretty good price. That price includes parking in their lot. It includes all of the exhibits. And as I said before, if we had known, it would have included also a pedal boat or a rowboat or one of those things that you could take out onto the water. Lunch at Toast and Tonic was about $44 for the two of us. Obviously, that price is going to vary greatly depending on how many people you have and what you're ordering. And dinner at S&P Oyster was about $193, which was the price for 4 appetizers and 2 main dishes. So all in all, not a very expensive day. If you own a car and you're driving, obviously the cost of gas will be factored in. I don't own a car, but I did rent a car for the day. So if you rent a car, that's an additional cost. There is also an Amtrak station nearby. That is an option you can look into if you would rather take public transit. I don't know how close the Amtrak station is to downtown Mystic or to anything else, but between downtown Mystic and Olde Mistick is pretty far to walk. So if you are taking the train, you're probably not going to get to visit Olde Mistick. So for that reason alone, to get the full experience, I would recommend driving if it is at all possible. But all in all, not the most expensive day trip to take, like I said, on the weekend, on your day off, and in my opinion, it is definitely worth a visit. So with that, this is where I take my leave of you. Again, remember to subscribe if you like this content. It is very helpful to me. And do ring that notification bell because, as I mentioned, I do have a 4-part international trip series coming up on this channel. It's going to be really fun, and you don't want to miss that. But until then, and until we meet again, everyone out there in YouTube land, have a wonderful afternoon, evening, night, morning, whatever time of day you're watching this. I love you all very, very much. and I will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.